Hello and welcome to the Noob Spearo podcast, where we interview experts, authorities and characters on all things spearfishing. Come and join us after the show at noobspearo.com, the online spearfishing community helping you to become a better Spearo. Here are your hosts for the show, Shrek and Turbo.
G'day Noob Spearo community, Shrek and Turbo here.
G'day guys.
Today we have a globally renowned spearfishing personality. He's a passionate, born and bred South African, and by the looks of it, a bloody busy bloke. Welcome to the show, Richard Leonard.
Hey, thanks guys. Super cool to be on the show, man. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Now Richard, I read a bit up on your bio there, and I see most of your main efforts go towards running and directing the End of the Zone Productions, which is the largest spearfishing YouTube channel, and also another channel, Top Shots, which is pretty popular. Plus you run a blog, have a hefty social media presence, and this year you managed to run in the top 10 in the South African National Spearfishing Champs. You sound really busy. Can you tell us a bit about the Spearfishing Champ experience and In the Zone Productions?
Cool, man. Well, yeah, spearfishing is definitely my passion, as you might have got a sense. But, you know, I've got this interesting side to me as well, is the capturing the action and the excitement, the stoke on camera and really representing the sport that way. I think that's probably equally, I'm equally passionate about that. And I've never been a big competitor for spearfishing. I had a very serious competitive I was very seriously competitive in my teenage years with athletics and rugby and stuff like that. And when I took up spearfishing in 1999, I was 19 years old. And I just wanted to blow off some steam and have a whole lot of fun. And I think I've always wanted spearfishing to be that way for me. I've always just wanted to be a time out from the world and, you know, the worries and the hustle and the bustle. And, you know, as you spearers know, you enter into a whole new world, and it's mysterious, it's magical. It's really just incredible. And so I mean, I never wanted to take it up professionally, but you know, I moved to the Eastern Cape, which is kind of sort of central in our country, on the coastline, but somewhere in the middle. And I started diving here and progressing in the sport, and the guys asked me to dive for the provincial side here, and I agreed. I was super keen to just hang with the guys and be a part of it, so I gave it a shot. It was my first real competition, and managed to do all right. So I was super chuffed with the position in the top 10. I was going up against some pretty good divers. We've got some pretty hardcore guys here in South Africa, and it was just awesome to be a part of it. Competition diving was, it's completely different to what I'm used to. I'm probably more of a trophy hunter than anything else. I let a heck of a lot of fish swim past me, and
I've seen a few of your trophies, so pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've had some great opportunities and managed to land some beautiful fish in my spearfishing career. But the spearfishing in the national championships, ours is set up as a species comp, which is you've got a maximum of 10 species, which is according to the laws of our country. So you can't have more than 10 fish on the boat, and then certain fish have certain regulations. So it's a maximum of 10 species. And you get a point for each species, and then a point for each kilogram thereafter, with a maximum points of 6 points per fish. So to get a maxi weigher, it's anything over 5 kilos is a maxi weigher. So, whether you get a 5 kilo fish or a 20 kilo fish, it's going to score the same. So some lucky Joe who shoots a, 20 kilo kingfish or, yellowtail, as we call them, he doesn't win the comp. He gets a maximum of 6 points for that fish. So it's all about being versatile and being able to adapt to, all the different diving conditions. We dive in different areas every day. and different areas hold different fish, and there's different strategies. And also each species has its own strategy in how to hunt that species. So, it really is awesome. It tests you to your maximum diving in competition. I was pushing my turnarounds a lot quicker than what I would do for normal free diving. I mean, when you just, casually free diving and having fun, you take a little bit more time on the top because you relax and you want to spend a bit more time on the bottom. Where in the national championships, you've got to spend as much possible time as you can on the bottom. So you're really pushing yourself and turning around your dives fast, And also the first guy on the reef is the guy who gets the fish as well. And I was diving with my provincial A team, so and these guys have grown up here in the Eastern Cape, so and they're diving, in their backyard. I've been here for 3 years, so I've got a bit of an idea. But I was diving in their backyard, and the guys don't anchor on the spot every time. Put it that way.
Yeah, okay.
They anchor away from the spot, and you kind of have to be sneaky and watch where they go.
Yeah.
So no, it was a great experience, and it was just the camaraderie and the excitement of competitive diving was great. So I don't think it's something I want to move towards in a career. I'll maybe dive a few more comps, but no, great experience, eh?
No, thanks for that insight into comps. We haven't dived many comps ourselves, so interesting insights there. What about In the Zone Productions? Can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, I've seen some of your films. I saw Mozam Magic, I think, and that was just sensational cinematography, just really awesome to watch. What sort of other things are you doing within the zone?
No, cool, man. Well, I just, like I said earlier, I'm so passionate about the sport, and I want people to share in the extremeness, the excitement, the adrenaline, the challenge of the sport. I think, I often come across in the comments in my YouTube videos on ITZ TV, comments like, it's just so easy, and, why don't you leave some fish in the ocean? And I think generally the public don't have a good idea of the challenge and the adversity that you have to face to get out there and actually land good fish, and and it's exciting, man. I've also noticed that in a lot of spearfishing media, guys are just too serious, man. It's like, we just got to go out there and have a great time, and I've really wanted to capture that on camera, that excitement. And I'm as passionate about the cinematography side of the sport as I am about actually shooting fish. In fact, some days I get so much more pumped about, getting the shot on camera than actually making the shot myself. For instance, that video you just mentioned, Mozam Magic, that one we went to Nyaka, and I really wanted to represent Africa and traveling through Africa. And, we traveled through a reserve on our way, and it was a huge mission. You'll see a shot in Mozam Magic where the boat drive past this female giraffe and her calf, her baby. And, I mean, to get that shot was just like, dude, I think I was so pumped about just getting that shot. Yeah, I mean, like I really wanted golden grass, golden light, that old African, trees in the background, stereotypical, just there is Africa. We're in Africa, and we're traveling through Africa. And I mean, to get that whole setup and those animals to stay still, the car and the boat to drive through the frame. And I mean, we got to the spot that the giraffes were there. There was this perfect little side road. So me and the camera car pulled over, and we got Rob just driving through the frame, Rob Allen with Chris Coates just driving through the frame. Perfectly nailed it. Yeah. So I mean, I'm as excited about the cinematography side. We started in the zone. Well, I started in the zone in 2006, and I just had no cooking clue and what to do. I think the only advice I got was from Brett Verco. He was filming the immersion DVDs and films at that time. And I got my first camera, this Panasonic NVGS 300. I've actually got it sitting on my desk right here just to remind me of where it all began, you know. I missed the boat. I should have sold those cameras sooner, but I didn't. So now I'm sitting with like 3 really good 3CCD cameras, but they're not HD. So they're like completely redundant. So they're like now ornaments in my office. But anyway, so I mean, Brett said that's the camera he uses. So I thought, well, you know, he's done the research. That must be the camera to use. So I just got that camera. And then I found out that there was a guy just down the road from me that made custom housing. So I took my camera to him. He made a housing. And off I went to Sedona Bay and filmed my first little spearfishing holiday thing. I learned very quickly in that time. I actually went with my cousin and we were going to do this together. And I learned very quickly that Spearos are very hesitant to pick up the camera. They actually almost never want to pick up the camera and grab the. And I found actually that whole holiday, the guys just grabbed their guns, jumped in, and I was the guy in the water with the camera. And we managed to capture some good stuff. And then I came back and I had no clue on how to edit it. I was still early days. And I went to a friend and she was developing her portfolio. And she was a really good editor. And she edited down a 12-minute piece on our trip. And it came out really good. And it ended up being our very first production. And sitting down and watching it, I was just so stoked just to be able to see our holiday produced in a way that just represented the excitement and everything that went on under the water as well as above the water. And I just fell in love with it right there. And that was it. I was hooked. As much as in 1999 I got hooked in spearfishing, in 2006 I got so hooked on the cinematography side, you know. I think it's a very unique passion and not everyone's passionate about it. I think most guys are quite happy to put a GoPro on their head or on their gun and just see the shots, you know, and just read the moment that way.
Are you completely self-taught? Is this something that any of our noobs out there listening that want to pick up a camera can sort of just jump into and teach themselves as they go along?
Well, I'm completely out the garage, eh? Well, that's what we call it. You know, you're either out the classroom or the garage. And I'm completely out the garage. And my editor, Matt, he's out the classroom. So we've actually made an awesome mix through that because, you know, I'm quite unconventional. I'll often move outside of the laws and the parameters of how you should do it. And I stretch him that way. But then often he'll pull me back and bring me back to the correct technical way of doing it. And you know, we've found a really good mix, Matt and I, doing it that way. But yeah, completely self-taught. You know, Google and YouTube, when I started, were not that big. You know, YouTube, you know, 2006, I mean, yeah, it was still early days. There was very few even spearfishing YouTube channels out there, you know. I remember even the cinematography and the photography and the sport was at a very bottom end level. And so there wasn't a whole lot of guys to learn from. And also I didn't even have Facebook then, you know. I think I only got a Facebook account in 2009. So, I mean, I didn't have any connection. So, yeah, I mean, we just bumped our head against the wall a whole lot of times and eventually figured it out.
I think we've kind of moved into a section we have on the show called the Veterans Vault, Richard, because you are such a passionate, we're calling it cinematography, but one thing I've noticed about your films is you really tell the story well. And maybe you could give a bit of advice to our audience about how they can tell the story with their own sort of movies, because I think we were talking about earlier before the show, there's a lot of guys that just sort of put together a montage of their kill shots and chuck some music over top of it, and they're pretty happy with that. But from an outside perspective, most people really want to know the story. They want to know the conditions and, you know, what the day looked like and who the crew was, what boat you were on. Like, I like hearing about all of it. I like a bit of commentary. What sort of advice would you have for our community about how to tell the story in one of their videos?
No, cool, man. Well, I've just actually started writing a series called Behind the Lens.
Oh, awesome.
It's a series I've been running through the Ultimate Spearfishing Magazine that Chris Coates founded and now owns and runs. And, I've been puzzling over the theory behind it for quite a few months now, which has been super cool. Because, being out the garage, like I said, you just you bump your head a whole lot of times and then you learn all these things along the way and then you kind of just try and remember as much as you can and don't make the same mistakes next time, And it's until you actually start to write it down, you realize, man, the amount of things you've learnt along the way, it's just incredible. And that's the actual journey that I've been going on. I think the number one thing that I'd want to share, the article, the emphasis on the article is do you want to take your spearfishing cinematography from good footage to great footage, Do you want to take it to the next level? I think the most important thing to ask yourself in that question is, are you passionate about it? Because to do that, to take it to a place where you start achieving great footage, it's going to come with sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot of fish along the way. Even if you're self-filming yourself, you're going to sacrifice. And you're going to self-film yourself properly, you're going to end up missing a lot of fish and missing out on some of the action. But as I said in my article, it is well worth it, man. When you sit down with a bunch of mates, and it's the action is captured in a steady way. Your movements were right, and you're able to put that down on an edit, and it just looks good, and you're able to relive that experience with your mates over and over again. Man, it's just so worth it. Watching my movies over again and all the moments that I've shared with my mates and, that I had in the water. I mean, it really is something special. It's something that I'm going to share with my kids one day when they're old enough to understand,
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's the Ultimate Spearfishing Magazine. What sort of issue is that series starting in?
Jeez, I got to try and remember now. I think it's
that's fine. It's just for reference for our
they're all posted on the website. But I think I need to approach SDM and just chat with John and just see if he's keen to run the articles, because Australia is probably in my opinion, without a doubt, it's the number one filming spearfishing cinematography country in the world right now. Let's say in the English world, you guys are filming way more than anyone else, and it's incredible. And there's a lot of guys that are very passionate about it in Australia. And so the first thing I said is you've got to be passionate about it. All right. If you're not passionate about it, then that's cool. I mean, keep filming with the head mount camera. Keep filming with the gun mount camera, enjoy your shots, and that's great, man. And put that onto YouTube with some music and show us, and we'll be super stoked. Don't stop that, But if you're passionate about it, then you need to start taking steps like number one being good preparation the night before. I hear way too many stories of, my camera battery ran out, or my memory card was full. Or, because I see these great fish and I see the guy's got a camera on his head or on the gun. And then, obviously immediately I write to the guy and say, hey man, did you get the footage? And then you hear all those stories. Or I know a guy films and I didn't see the camera in the photo. And, hey, did you get it on camera? No, I left the camera in the boat. So the big thing is preparation the night before, not the morning of, Make sure your battery is fully charged. Get a spare battery. Especially if you're using a GoPro, and make sure you've reformatted your memory card, and also just try your best to file your footage properly, find these guys. Most Spearos are just the same, man. It's just their data management is just appalling. I just got footage everywhere in every folder, and I'll get a lot of footage from around the world, and it's a nightmare, man. So I'd say that's one thing is just prepare well before the trip. Guys I dive with, they don't prepare at all, and they go out there, not even their gear, and then that fish swims in and they've got a rusty spear that's slightly bent, and miss the fish, and it's like, I missed it. But I look at their gear and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you've spent all this money, you've got this boat, you go all the way out there. Finally, the moment comes that you've been waiting for. The fish comes in front of you, and you flip and shoot skew. It's like, come on, dude. Like, come on. Just prepare for the hunt, and you'll find any good hunter prepares well for his hunt. It's just prepares his gear, he prepares his mind, and it's the same with cinematography. You prepare your cameras well so that you can make sure that, hey, when the time comes and that's that one fish, you get it and you nail it on camera. And the moment you've been waiting for your whole life and spearfishing is now captured on camera. I mean, nothing better.
Awesome, Richard. We've run right through to the end. The Veterans Vault's something we normally unwrap at the end of the interview. So if we wind it back a little bit, I'd be really interested in hearing where you got started spearfishing and how you kind of did it. You said at high school you're really competitive and right into your sports. And before the show, I remember you saying you got into spearfishing more to get away and relax. And so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, it all started, as I said, in 1999. My friend asked me to come and do a speech at his 21st, and he's an old fishing buddy, and I hadn't seen him for a couple of years, and I went around and I said the speech, and that night he said, hey man, Rich, you've got to come spearfishing with me, man. And I'd never heard of spearfishing. I'd been fishing since knee-high, passionate about fishing, spent most of my school holidays, in the harbour or on the pier, and trying to catch fish on a rod and bait. And so I said, okay, well, let's try it out. So the next day we got together and off we went to one of our local reefs. And it must have been a cracking 2 meters visibility, busting southwester wind, choppy seas, and out we went. I think I tied all the weights to my crayfish bag, and I had this little, we call it now a pop gun. I don't know if you can call it a spear gun, but I mean, it was a little like maybe a 50 centimeter little gun, and out we went out into the ocean.
At least the gun was the right size for the viz, eh?
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, anyway, so I went out there and it was all right. I liked it. I mean, the adventure side of it, I think I really connected with. But it was about a week later, we went to another spot of his called the Bluff, and we stood on top of this big kind of hill, huge hill, and we looked out, and the water was just crystal blue. There was dolphins, you could see all the reef. It was just one of those absolute pearler days. So my mate said, okay, well, let's go. I've got a secret spot. And so let's go for a walk. And he didn't tell me, but this place was like 5 kilometers walk along the beach. And you've got to get down the mountain as well. And a lot of the places, it's so steep that there's actually a rope that you've got to hold on to. So now I've got all this gear now, and 5 kilometers down the beach, but we get out there and it's like absolute magic. We're diving around, and I find this hole with these, what we call cuckoo bass, or some call them Cape knife jaw. They're not a very clever fish, but anyway. So
perfect.
Yeah, they were perfect for me. So they were held up in a hole, and they just stayed there. And I ended up shooting about 5 of these things, and he shot he shot about 6 of them. And geez, what a magic thing! I mean, I've been fishing all my life, and you don't experience fishing like that. And then also just to be able to see everything, it was like sensory overload. Yeah, that was it. That was the day that I became a Spearo, like an absolute passionate frothing grom Spearo,
It's
awesome.
Once you shoot that first fish, it's pretty hard to go back to baiting hooks and throwing line and sitting there for hours catching nothing, hating life.
we're
Damn right. And, I tell you, dude, my surfboard and all my fishing gear got full of cobwebs and dusty for the next 2 years. Literally for the next 2 years, all I did at that time, I was a student, I was studying, And I had a lot of free time on my hands, when you don't go to lectures. And so, I mean, I used to just sit around waiting for clean water. Like that was my life. My first 2 years, I pretty much just spearfished full time. And yeah, I mean, it was incredible. I still feel the same about the sport now.
When can I enroll in university? That sounds good.
Re-enroll just to go spearing more.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, those are the years, hey. So much freedom and no responsibility, But I would say this to the guys out there is, and try not to lose that Grom stoke, that stoke you had, that excitement you had in your former years, the early years of spearfishing. And I really try to hold on to that because, sometimes you get old and fickle, man, and, you lose appreciation for things that were once like the absolute wow factor now become norm and so used to them, like a pot of dolphin swimming up to you, or manta ray, or, a beautiful crack with crayfish, or, man, we really have to just hold on to that awe factor, that wow factor,
Mate, you get me excited. Our crew's actually right about now, probably halfway across the bay, heading out to go for a dive, and I sort of want to wrap this up now and go. Just kidding. So that's probably the memories of when you first started. Could you run us through your most memorable fish, Richard?
No, for sure. Well, look, I've got a lot of memorable fish along the way, but I would say my first memorable fish has to be the first pelagic I shot. I lived in KwaZulu-Natal, which is often warmer water and blue water hunting. And the fish we hunt there is your Spanish mackerel, or some people call it the king mackerel. And then the smaller version of that is the queen mackerel, or what we call in Natal as Natal Snoek. And I remember getting down there. At this point, I was battling to find guys to dive with me, and I did the thing that probably everyone shouldn't do, and was diving alone. And I definitely highly advise no one to do that ever. But anyway, being young and feeling bulletproof, you know how you are when you're 19 years old. I used to drive
and just wanting to go diving because sometimes there's no one to go with, and I think we've all done it, Richard. But it's definitely inadvisable. I love your sort of pushing that point, but we've all been there and done that. So
yeah, totally, man. Well, so I drove up the coast alone, and oh man, the water was just so beautiful at my local spot. So got all geared up, went out to the back of the reef. There's this really cool drop off, and then a sand gutter, and then another ledge. And the fish tends to run through this what we call a gully. And I loaded up, and as I loaded up, my band snapped. Bam. So now I'm like out there, and I've got pretty much no spear gun. So now I'm like, oh well, so beautiful. Let me hang around and see if I can get a couple crayfish and just enjoy it, And can you believe it? At this point, it was still my first season. I'd never shot a game fish. The queen mackerel was swimming so close up to me that I actually poked one. I stabbed it with my spear.
No.
And at this point, no. I'd never at this point seen a pelagic. So you can imagine how I was feeling. I mean, I was absolutely gutted. So I went back home that night, and I was just, man, I fixed up my gun. And I think that was a big lesson in spearfishing gear preparation. And anyway, so the next day I went down to my spot again, first thing in the morning, first light, just totally frothing because I know that the game fish, the queen mackerel are there. So, but the swell has picked up. The swell's now, it's running at about a good solid 6 foot. And man, I must have sat on the beach for a good 40 minutes, an hour, just like summoning up the courage, because it's quite a shallow ledge that you've got to swim over. So if you get caught, you're going to really get thumped. And I have been caught there before, and pretty dealt. So I eventually summoned up the courage, and I did it. And I just caught the lull, and I managed to get out to the back okay. And it wasn't 20 minutes, and the first snook came through. and bam, nailed it, man. Our very first pelagic fish, and just incredible adversity. You know, I'm all alone out there, and just, you know, you're facing your inner self, you know. And it was super memorable, not only in that it was my first game fish, but also that was special, man, to overcome that fear, you know, and to go and conquer. I think, you know, the man inside of us, you know, that's when it comes out like that, it's good. It feels good, you know. So it was memorable. Yeah, it was good.
What was it like getting back in through that surf with that big fish on your float?
Oh no, you know, getting back in, I think was a little scary, but I think I was just so pumped, you know, in getting that fish that I just put my head down and went for it, and managed to get in okay. So yeah, no drama, no incidents. It was just a really good experience. So no, I was stoked. I went home with my 5 kg snook. And man, felt like a king. Eh? It was awesome.
You cooked that up, and that would have tasted like one of the best fish you'd ever eaten.
I did, man. You know, that's the thing about the sport, man. It's just so nice to come home with your bounty. You know.
Yeah.
I always think back to the village mentality. You know, like you know, there's a lot of guys with different passions. You know, some guys are builders and some guys, you know, are your hunters, and you know, I always think back to the day before technology, and you know, some guys just have it in them, and I'm one of those guys, man. I'm just a hunter. You know, I just love hunting, and I
think some guys are
just, you know, it's just, you know, coming home with the bounty, you know, the meal for the family. You know, it's a good feeling, man, and I think that doesn't change today. You know, I get home with, you know, even if it's not a trophy fish, it's like, you know, 4 or 5 small, you know, brusher or whatever it is, and you know, you come home and, you know, one or two brusher and a bronze bream or whatever, and you come in with a bucket of fish for the family. Man, it feels good, you know.
Yeah. I started out scuba diving, Richard, and I remember like thinking, I'm going to start chasing crayfish, because we were in New Zealand, so you're allowed to do it on scuba there. And I remember thinking, I think I'm more of a hunter than a scuba diver, and you learn pretty quick. And when you do start catching things yourself, it changes the game. And so scuba diving finished very quickly once I discovered spearfishing. So
yeah, I tell you, I've got mates who scuba, and I've never scubaed in my life before, and I couldn't fathom going down there and just hanging out and looking. Like, it feels way too touristy for me, you know. I mean, a lot of people love it, and that's great. I mean, it's awesome that they get to experience the ocean like that. But for me, I want to get right in there with the sharks, man, and hunt. You know, that's just how I'm wired.
Yeah, me too. Hey, what's the funniest thing you've ever experienced out spearfishing?
Well, I think, you know, there's a whole bunch of them. Where do I start? Well,
have you got a moment that sticks out?
Yeah, one does. You know, it was quite. I think it was funny and also phenomenal at the same time. It was like sort of in the zone of a near miracle, I think. But you know, I went out. We're in Mozambique, and we had no boat, so we were shore diving. And I went out with a friend of mine. And he had never spearfished before. We were actually there on like a dive stroke surf trip. And he was more of a surfer. And we went out there and we were drifting pretty fast in the current around this point. And I looked up at him and I said to him, you know, we actually call him No Stoke because the guy hasn't got a lot of stoke. So
even his name's funny. I love it.
Yeah. So I looked up at No Stoke, and he had no stoke. The current was screaming, and we're heading around this point, and I didn't know how long this point went for, or if there was any exit, and there was no way to swim against the current back around where we had entered, because the entry was very cool, you know. So again, note to self: make sure when shore diving to know entrance and exit points. Anyway, so having not done that, I didn't know how long it was going to take to get on the other side and if there was even an exit point. So I saw there was this flat rock, and then there was a steep bank of rocks, but they were like super jagged, sharp. But I figured, look, the flat rock was okay. But the problem was that the surge was just rushing up and throwing on top of this rock and then pulling away. So if you could time it just right, you could like wash up onto the rock, do the gecko, hold on, hold on for dear life. It would wash away, jump up quickly, grab your gear, pull off your fins, bolt along the rock, and jump onto this bank and hang on for dear life. So this was our brainwave plan to escape imminent death, it seemed. Now, No Stoke, again, like I had No Stoke.
Oh, I love his name.
With
Snoek and No Stoke.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So now, have you ever seen the big eyes? Have you ever seen a guy with the big eyes? You know when they look at you?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking
big
about.
eyes? Well, No Stoke had No Stoke and big eyes. So now, this whole situation was deteriorating fast. So now, okay, so I go for it. I do the first rush. Boom, nail it. Obviously, shore diving for many years, always in these kind of situations. Did the gecko, planted
You got your gecko
the landing perfectly, held on, sucked away, ripped my fins off, boom. Okay, so made it. So now I'm parking on the bank, and now No Stoke is just not operating. This guy.
Oh, no.
So now I'm like, oh, man. So I decide, okay, I'm going to get my fins back on and help out No Stoke. So get the fins back on, wait for the surge to go away, rush onto the rock, dive into the water, and now I'm back out there again. Now I'm this like surging swell that's rushing up onto the rocks. So now I've got to tell this No Stoke when to go. So we wait for the moment, say go. He goes, but just didn't land the gecko at all.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Oh, no. No Stoke had no gecko.
No, he total fail on the gecko. So he landed on his ass, and he starts now bumping along, and as he's bumping, you just hear him going, oh, oh, oh. This coming, which is quite feminine. And anyway, so he's now bumping along and slides back off the side of this ledge, boom, back into the ocean. So I'm like, oh, no, this is just not going down too well. So, now, and then to top it off, what's even worse, I look at his fins. He's using my dad's fins, okay? And fins are not. The one fin's gone. Now, No Stoke, big eyes, and one fin. So the situation is just not happening. So anyway, eventually I get behind him, push him, flat on his stomach. He lands the gecko, runs up, and No Stoke's fine. Then I landed, and I'm like, okay, well, now I've got to tell my dad about this fin. And anyway, No Stoke's alive, and that's fine. Anyway, so yeah, went home that night, happy days. Okay, we all survived. No Stoke sulked a bit, but anyway, it's fine. We got through it. We got through that, friendship trauma. And next morning, we go like, no, let's leave the diving today. Let's go surfing. So, so we out surfing, and I just see this shoal of something smashing the surface. And they keep rushing in the surf line and rushing past us. And I'm like, no, dude, we have to go get our gear. This is ridiculous. So eventually he buckles, and like I said to him, look, I've found the exit point. We'll be fine. It's cool. You got to come with me. So we borrowed some fins for him. We head out into the ocean, and I didn't know that spot really well. So we just swimming on sand, and there's nothing. And I'm zigzagging, trying to find reef. And I'm zigzagging all over the ocean, different depths. And I see this like black object. I must have swum out to about 15 meters. So I see this black object floating in the distance. I'm like, what is that thing? I swim out to it. It's my fin, dude. It's my find my fin. Absolutely crazy. So yeah, that's the story of No Stoke and the fin. It was good.
Oh, awesome. What are we going to call that? No Stoke, one fin? Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I could.
All right, Rich. This is where we sort of come to the Fast 5 Facts for Noobs, where you share your top 5 pieces of advice for the budding noob Spearo.
Okay, cool. Well, number one is, guys out there, you've got to realize you're not bulletproof. Please, you have to realize that. I think Spearos are naturally adrenaline junkies and guys who like to push the limits no matter what they're doing. The problem with spearfishing is when you do push the limits, you can quite easily die. I've had 3 good friends die along the way of my spearfishing career. So guys out there, do your buddy diving properly, dive with a buddy, and buddy dive, I'd say. It's one thing being out there with a buddy, and it's another thing actually buddy diving with him. One up, one down. So that's what I'd say. That's the first thing. You're not bulletproof. Guys die every year. We hear about guys dying in this sport, mostly due to shallow water blackouts. And it's more often than not because they've just pushed it too far. So honestly, a fish is not worth your life. Be conservative in your breath holding ability and let the fish swim by. Let it go. If you can't make it, you don't have the breath, let it go. So that's the first thing. If you want to get good fast, connect with the old schoolers. They're experts. The guys in your area that have been doing it for a long time and shoot good fish. Connect with them any way you can. Invite them over for a braai or a barbecue. Top man for them. If it comes down to that, and you're not even going to get in the water, spend months just top manning for them, and you won't believe how much you'll learn in such a short space of time, and you'll end up learning fast and landing a good catch consistently. And that's what spearfishing is about. It's not always about just shooting big fish all the time, but it's about being consistent and getting a good catch. So hang with the old schoolers, I'd say. Stop being so serious. Have fun. There's guys out there.
Take no stoke out shore diving.
Yeah, totally, man. Have a whole lot of fun, man. The ocean's such a beautiful place. It's a magical place. Try and keep the awe factor, the stoke. No matter how many times you've been to that same crack in the reef, you've dived along that same gully. Keep that stoke. Enjoy the ocean, man. It's the most beautiful thing that God's created. And He's given it to us. So just enjoy it, man, and always stay stoked about it. And then if you want to get good at diving, the best way to do it is time in the water. It really is the best way to do it. It's just spend time in the water. Like anything we do in life, the more consistently you do it, the more you learn about doing it, And you'll find, guys, my latest movie, One Fish Legends, Barry Paxman, he said, in any given year, he can spend up to, 250, 300 days in the water, So, I mean, that's a lot of time. Well. Yeah, I mean, and you see him today, he is still so passionate about even shooting that 5 kilo Spanish mackerel. He is so stoked, And, man, that's how we got to be. And then, another thing I've noticed with a lot of Spearos, and I only learned it when I came to this part of the country and started hunting here, the fish are very clever here. The black mussel cracker and the white mussel cracker, they're extremely clever fish. They very seldom swim up to you, and you have to have some pretty clear strategies and techniques to get these fish to swim up to you. And the one thing I've learned here very well is to actually hunt, how to hunt. I think a lot of guys are used to, and I was when I lived further north in blue water, I was spoiled, and I was really good at just shooting fish. But I've really learned to hunt fish in this part of the world. And one of the biggest things I've learned, and if guys can learn this, their catches will increase radically, is your body language counts. Your body language counts. And the way that I've really seen my body language is when I started filming my spearfishing. I started to see how erratic the camera movements were, therefore how erratic my body movements were, how fast my head was turning, how sporadic my head was turning up and down, how large my body posture was, you know. So I'd say start to practice diving straight down to the reef, lie on the reef, and even at times try looking at the reef and hiding your eyes just for 15, 20 seconds. And then slowly pick your head up and see what happens. And you'll see fish will just start to move in, and you'll have a very small, you'll have a very small posture and non-threatening posture in the water. And you'll see yourself catching a lot more fish and your bigger, wiser fish swimming right up to you. In fact, if you can find a crack, if you can find a little ledge or a little crack, go and sneak into that. And I'm telling you, the big fish in the area just cannot resist coming and looking what foreign object just went into that crack. And you'll see fish will swim right up to you. And so as in hunting techniques, that would be my advice.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. All right, Rich. I'm just going to read back your Fast 5 facts. So number 1, dive within your limits. You aren't bulletproof, and dive with a buddy. 1 up, 1 down. Number 2, connect with experts. So I think basically you told us there to go and get a mentor and hang out with the guys that have been doing it for years. Number 3, relax, have fun, and enjoy yourself out there. Number 4. Spend time in the water. So the more time in the water, the more experience you get, the better you'll become. And number 5, you gave us learn some hunting techniques, particularly your body language and your movements underwater.
Yes, exactly.
Great advice.
Yeah, you know how many guys tell me, when they've got a camera in their hands, how many guys tell me the fish just swim up to them with the camera? And it's because they've got a camera and not a gun. And I say to them, no, that's not because you've got a camera and not a gun. It's because your body language has changed. You're now no longer in this aggressive, forward-moving hunting mode, in a more passive, relaxed mode. And that's why the fish feel a lot less threatened. I mean, you can pull your gun right back down your body and have just the spear by your head, and be completely relaxed. And I think it's really hard in your first few seasons because you're just so frothing. And then when that shoal of fish swim in on you, man, you just freak out, And I think we all know that feeling, man. And just trying to aim straight is a mission. Never mind stay calm, So try and work on that.
That's great. Is there anything else you want to say to our Noob Spearo community, Rich? You've probably got fans listening. I mean, your videos are widely watched throughout YouTube and stuff. Is there anything you want to say to the guys and girls listening? Yeah,
totally. I just want to say thanks to all the guys. No, really, thank you so much for all the support you guys are giving us out there. It's really by your support that we're able to succeed the way we have. Every click on YouTube, every share on Facebook, every DVD purchase really just empowers us to continue to do what we're doing and do it with excellence. And it's because of you guys that we've got as far as we have. So cheers, guys. Thanks a lot. I seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all very much.
Yeah, well, so you can find Richard in the Zone Productions. He's got one show I saw. The first show I ever watched of yours, Richard, was a local guy here. It was like a GT shoot-off between him and another guy. It was on your Top Shots YouTube channel. And I think our local guy took that out, actually.
That's right. Yeah. Rodney Ives, yeah, he did. He beat the South African.
Yeah, Rodney Ives, Submerged Psychos, that's right.
Yeah, despite my opinions. Yeah, he won, so...
Yeah, I was actually surprised he won too. They were both great videos, but I thought the other guy that lost actually probably had the better shot. But it was a good showdown anyway.
Cool.
So we really appreciate you coming on the show, Richard, and helping us out. And and saying hello to our audience and things like that. And it's been great to have you on the show. You've told us some great stories. I'm going to remember that no stuck story forever. And so, yeah, thanks for coming on, Richard. You've offered our audience a ton of value.
No, cheers, mate. And yeah, thank you guys, man. And thank you for what you're doing. I think this is a great idea, an awesome concept. And yeah, I just hope the global spearing community just get behind you guys. And this is going to be fantastic to hear from some of the greats, you know. And yeah, really appreciate what you guys are doing. And thanks for the opportunity, man, to be able to speak out and yeah, I guess have some more fun with you guys. Great.
Yeah, cool.
Excellent.
We're gonna link up most of what we've had on our show notes here at Noob Spearo, and we'll share this video around, or share this podcast around. So thanks again, Richard. We'll catch up with you another time.
That's great. Cheers, guys.
Cool.
Catch ya.
Thanks, Rich. Cheers, mate. Thanks for listening today, Noob Spearo. If you'd like to find out any more information from today's guest, then head over to noobspearo.com.
We really appreciate you guys as listeners. Without you, we couldn't do the show. So if you want to help us out, leave us a review on iTunes or head on over to noobspearo.com and sign up for our newsletter. We won't send you crap.
So that's all from us. A big hooroo. We hope to see you soon.
Shrek over and out.